right, guys, Red Alert 2 World Series action coming at you here. I'm excited about this one. So you guys catching this one live, here's what we've had today. We had Zed and Dynamic go at each other. It was a banger. Dynamic took it home. Then we had BikeRush and Zed go at each other. BikeRush took it home. So now we have the winners of those two games going at each other. We got BikeRush in yellow out of the UK on the left here. He's facing off against the Dynamic Dino in red on the right side. I've been hyping this one up a little bit, but if you're catching this replay, BikeRush, man, top level player in a couple different Command & Conquer games. He's an incredible RTS player, and we've seen this kind of non-stop aggressive action from him. A little bit, sometimes his Blitz strategies, he builds his oils a little too close, things like that. But honestly, it doesn't even really matter because his offense is so aggressive and so scary, the action always stays on his opponent's side of the map. Now, the Dynamic Dino, man, this kid, calm, cool, and collect. He plays the maps well. He's always adjusting to the variables that are being given to him. And we saw him come out the gates and put on a really good show here already today. Some very, very impressive wins versus Zed. And honestly, big shout out to Zed today, too. 2 games, 2 losses, but he didn't really do that many things wrong, honestly. Dynamic and BikeRush just playing some really good Blitz. So let's get into it here. I'm excited to see, Dynamic is one of our newest pro players. Making a scene, taking down top-level guys. And of course, BikeRush is our newest pro player, winning semi-pro last month, coming in here. He's going for Marco. That's his goal. He wants to be #1 in another game mode. And look at both players banging out for the genetic mutator. At the start of the day today, I forgot there was a genetic mutator. Flash forward 58 minutes into the stream, and the genetic mutator is everything on this map. We've seen it swing several points so far, so you see both players completely committing to the top side of the map, and little things like that always change. It's funny, early on in the month, people message me like, oh, this is OP, this is OP, and it's like, we'll see what happens, man, because you never really know how a map's going to play. And now, BikeRush, this is exactly his style. Wait, why is Dynamic so far behind on tanks? BikeRush on 4 war factories. Dynamic has a billion conscripts smoking cigarettes, and BikeRush rolls through. Jesus. I was like just finishing my hype. I hardly even got through the hype speech. All right, here we go, boys. Here we go, boys. Let's get her going. So over to point number 2 now, Allied versus Allied. So that first point, man, BikeRush, he, I feel like this map specifically really behooves BikeRush. I'm trying to use that word more. I was Googling, I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, how do we get a Red Bull sponsorship for Red Alert 2? They said, use more important, cool, weird words. I said, done, easy money. So now I say things like, I feel like this particular map and the nuanced variations in the texture of the game really behoove BikeRush. Someone send that clip to Red Bull. We'll get the sponsorship in no time. BikeRush opening a billion GIs along the top side here. But yeah, these double oils, Soviet versus Soviet, BikeRush getting these double oils. We've seen him opening a billion war factories and just going, running on spit and adrenaline right down the gut, go, go, go. I think that really benefits him early game. We've seen him play some really tough, aggressive early openings off this. Again, these 2 oils, they really do kickstart your economy nicely. Sniper IFV. AVA, big map like this, GI Rush, you'd have to have your opponent really sleeping at the wheel. It's not going to work against a player, particularly like the Dynamic Dino. He's going to go Sniper IFV, calm, cool, and collect. Dude, the Dynamic Dino, here's the thing. He's not just a dinosaur. Dinosaurs are scary. Dynamic Dino, he's a robotic dinosaur. That's what's so scary about him. A robotic dinosaur, see, a regular T-Rex, too emotional. You get a regular T-Rex, they're too easy to trick. A robotic T-Rex, though, that's what Dynamic is. Calm, cool, and collect. He sees a bunch of GIs. Yeah, he built a Sniper IFV and kills them. So BikeRush likes to see how he's building these right here. He's building these Rockies. Dynamic can't see these Rockies right now. He's trying to build secret Rockies. But as he's doing that, Dynamic is just feasting in the middle here. So I like this build for BikeRush. Soviet versus Allied on this map. I think maybe building back makes sense. AVA, though, you got to think you need to push in here. Dynamic with a defensive paradrop here. And so, yeah, he tries to build another barracks down here, trying to get a little sneaky, try to build Rocketeers where he doesn't see them. So BikeRush does get some GIs on the back of Dynamic's base. Yeah, Dynamic didn't see these GIs. We've seen BikeRush get a few wins with that, but he is going to lose his MCV as well. Now BikeRush has to just kind of go down the gut, try to go for a base trade here. And it's not actually a terrible move. Yeah, this is going to be a full base trade. This is a lot of uncontested Grizzlies, though. Pretty much full base trade. So BikeRush needs to shoot. Yeah, it's a full base trade. It's going to be clicking buildings. He has this power plant down here. Dynamic sees it, though. Man, Dynamic quick on the click. So sees that. BikeRush going to pull back and try to defend. I think probably just needed to commit to to the trade. He should, yeah, he should just, oh, damn, that was Dynamic's last building. Oh, that was really close. That was really, really close. All right, guys, over to Allied versus Soviet now. Okay, so again, so Bike Rush Soviet here, Dynamic Allied. Someone asking how it works. So in Blitz Pro Division, we go Soviet versus Soviet, Allied versus Allied. Then the loser of AVA chooses if they want Allied or Soviet first, but then they swap. So, you know, both players have to play them. It's just what order you play them. So, yeah, so interesting. So Bike Rush here with Soviet. I'm excited to see how Dynamic chooses to counter this. Again, Dynamic's one of those players, you feed him the variables, he usually is able to kind of come up with a unique game plan. But Bike Rush opens the barracks on the top side, gets to those huts first. We didn't even consider what these huts would do. I think when Polye added them, he just added them to look cool. But now the huts, so Bike Rush runs, grabs the huts, completely counters these GIs. Now, you know, Dynamic has this engineer down here eating a sandwich out of his briefcase. The GIs are smoking cigarettes, and Bike Rush is going to get the genetic mutator. And the genetic mutator combined with his Soviet look, very, very scary. And look at the flat cannon here. He knows that Dynamic's going to look to bring, you know, some early Rockies, some early Eagles to try to get that allied advantage here. And yeah, the early flat cannon probably will put him low power. Two flat cannons will slow down a little bit, but again, double oils, man. It's hard to really assess what you're capable of getting done. GI's pushing in here, so I love this aggression from Dynamic. He's going to bring some GIs down the gut as well. This oil could be very problematic if Dynamic is able to take a bite there. Could get a nice, some nice splash damage, but Bike Rush with a bundle of rhinos like this is nothing to be taken lightly here. He's going to shift all the way down to this back zone. Pillbox there from Dynamic. Nice unit control from Dynamic. That Pillbox did pull attention for a second, but he's need to get some GIs and Pillboxes into this fight if he wants to hold on here. Let's hold that position. This is a scary amount of rhinos. Where is Dynamic at on the backside? Desolator slowing down Dynamic's offensive. Dynamic needs to try to get something done here. Pillboxes needs to get more GIs in the fight. Dynamic's on 9K. The barracks AFK. This is not what you expect to see from Dynamic. I'm not sure where he is right now, and gets genetic mutated as well. That's got to be GG's. Yeah, and so Dynamic showing that he is immortal here. We've seen him play, make such, and forgot tanks and forgot units. Wow, and that's not what you expect from Dynamic. We've seen him play such clean lines all day today. But hey, everyone makes mistakes. Another one for Bike Rush.
Psychic Dominator detected.
And it takes 20 of you. You can't just haphazardly say potato. You have to rally the troops. Like if you want to lead a potato, a unicorn hunting expedition, you have to like give a hype speech. You gotta be like, yo, listen up, everybody. Today's the day we get the unicorn. Hype them up, Zigo. Tomato? Tomato question mark. That's your hype speech? That didn't hype me up. Didn't hype me up at all. All right, so now both players opening barracks on the top side. And this is my favorite time in the month, man. Early on in the month, watching the pro players and in real time, you know, getting to watch the meta for the map evolve. Yeah, this is always so fun, man, because I talked about before, you know, when I make these maps, you know, and you know, people Snark help me code the slave miner, Polye helped with all the little stuff. All this time and energy goes into it. You never really know how it's gonna play. And it's always fun early on to kind of watch what the pros do with it and how it develops throughout a series. You know, like I said, throughout the day here, we've seen the genetic mutator just win literally so many games, and now both players opening all of their production on that top side. So Dynamic fighting to give us a barn burner here. Let's be honest, man. Bike Rush has been in the driver's seat throughout this series. His aggressive play style, you know, we saw Dynamic defend Zed's aggression so well today, but Bike Rush is just another level. And in that last game, seeing Dynamic go forget tanks, forget infantry, that's the kind of pressure that you want to be. The kind of player you want to be is you are doing so many things so fast and so unexpected that your opponent forgets to build tanks. That's the kind of player you really want to strive to be, to make people make those mental lapses in their gameplay. Bike Rush, the GIs zone out the rhinos, the engineer runs into the hut! That was like the perfect play. It's like he set everything up and then he just missed the layup. Didn't grab the genetic mutator, that's hilarious. One tank out of position here, Bike Rush gonna hop on it. Dynamic on 3K, no static defenses here. So now both players, a foot race here. This will actually be interesting. You want to hesitate. Oh, he just kills that engineer. Both players banging out for the center, and look how Bike Rush builds right to the end. Now, this trench down the middle of the map does prevent base walking, but you'll see here, you can definitely get some defensive structures right into the zone. Dynamic is now going to try to get a backdoor offensive going with conscripts, but in order to do that, he needs to really keep an eye on the front line here. He cannot push into these prism tanks. One misclick here will really thin out his army. So conscripts now down on the bottom. This oil's looking juicy. Dynamic just needs to try to find a way to get some value here, but he also has to try to stay alive, right? Everything easier said than done. Rocky's now on the top side. The crate is out. Conscripts and a split here from Dynamic. These conscripts and these tanks should be able to get the MCV here, and I think he has enough tanks to hold on the backside as well. Offensive paradrop from Dynamic, or from Bike Rush. These flak tracks need to take out these Rockies because they're driving me crazy. Grabs the barracks as well. So the barracks, wow, and that's Value Town on the backside. The MCV goes down. This one's got to be going in Dynamic's favor. Dynamic just has to hold the line here. I believe he has the rhinos for it. And then Bike Rush says he forgot tanks this time. And Bike Rush, very nice map awareness there from Dynamic. He grabbed the MCV and then he got the barracks, right? So it's, you know, you grab the barracks, now you have Bike Rush only producing on a single AFC and Grizzlies. Of course, that's not going to work unless Dynamic severely blunders this position. The only way for him to blunder it would be to hang out in the zone of these prism towers, which he is doing. And you know what, though? I like the flex here, right? Of course, on paper, the move here is to slow things down, is to pull back, is to slow things down. But if you want to get a little momentum going into the finals, you go into the prism towers. You go head on. I like that. He didn't want the win. He wanted a little momentum. We're burning barns, boys. It's match point. What a day to be alive. A random midweek stream. It's a Wednesday. A Wednesday, we're burning barns. You love to see it, guys. Quick reminder, redalert2.com. You can download and play the game. You can sign up for the tournament. We do them every month. We got divisions for all skill levels. You can join the Discord. You can check out the YouTube. You can check out the Twitch. And you can donate if you are feeling generous. You want to help me get RA to the moon. All the money that comes in does go back towards the stream, back into the next month's prize pool. Helps me get this content in front of more people. Helps me get RA to the moon. Twitch subs, and Patreon. If you can want to pledge $5 a month, that really helps me out. I'm trying to gather up a bundle of a bunch of people doing $5 a month so that we can so that I don't have to rely on random people giving a bunch of money. You know, right now it's kind of like we don't have enough money and then one generous person gives a bunch of money. But I'm thinking the new goal is like I get a bunch of people. If we all get $5 chipped in, we can do these prize pools every month. These guys talking about dogs doing random stuff. It is match point. We are burning barns. And Dynamic out the gate with the genetic mutator. Dynamic out the gate with the genetic mutator. So rhinos now from Bike Rush. Yeah, and the little things like that, man, are tough. So the dogs, Bike Rush losing a few units to those dogs, always a little bit frustrating. But, you know, Bike Rush is the kind of guy who bends doesn't break. Double War Factory now. So these guys are picking their factions in match point. Yeah, the nuke. If you guys trigger a nuke, if 100 of you say the word nuke, someone will win 40 bucks, guaranteed. However, there's only 102 of you in here. So if Murray and Berg decide to sit out, every single other person in here has to say nuke in 1 minute. You guys aren't good enough for the nuke yet. You guys can hardly trigger a potato. The potato only takes 20 of you to trigger. You guys can hardly handle that. The nuke is when we make it big time, when we get that Red Bull sponsorship. And then I can stop hustling you guys for money too. All right, here we go, here we go. So both players banging out for the top side here. The genetic mutator, Bike Rush does pull off a successful heist, does grab that genetic mutator. And so again, these guys picking their factions and Dynamic going allied. Very interesting. Now, this map we've seen be Soviet favored so far, I would say generally, early on in the month, but generally speaking, that's the feedback I'm getting from top level players, is that it's very tough for Allied. Now, Dynamic going Allied, I don't think Dynamic wants to be, I don't think he loves this. The thing is, we saw their Soviet versus Soviet point. Going Rhinos versus Rhinos against Bike Rush is terrifying. So I like this idea from Dynamic. He's just going to try to get weird, try to slow things down, gum up this choke point, and try to force Bike Rush to make a mistake. I love these GIs in this zone. Bike Rush a little bit slow to get over to that Desolator. Desolator now coming from the top side. Bike Rush goes for an Dynamic going for an MCV dive. Yeah, that would have cost him the game. Smart pull out there. He is split up, does have some reserve forces back at home. The crate is out. Desolator cleans up all those GIs. No value from those GIs. Does get the machine shop. We're forgetting about the machine shop. It's basically on the moon down here. We never see action down there. But that machine shop does residually repair all of your tanks, which is a huge benefit. If you're up a machine shop, it makes a big difference, especially with Grizzlies. Since Grizzlies are made of paper, it's nice to be up a machine shop for sure. Desolator's pushing into the zone. Conscript's pushing into the zone. And Dynamic is going for a sneaky heist. A sneaky heist. A sneaky heist. BikeRush sees it. Everyone pulls up to that top zone. The Prism Tower doing work now. Genetic Mutator's ready to rock. This is going to be a scary bundle. Dynamic needs to get some snipers in this top zone. His barracks is way out of position, and the Brutes are going to perfectly counter these Prism Towers. Infantry are a great counter. Here comes the Genetic Mutator. Big Genetic Mutator. Dynamic needed a sniper, but he has so many Grizzlies. He has so many Grizzlies here. Yeah, BikeRush is going to have to pull out here. Dynamic with a scary bundle of Grizzlies, but he did lose a few Prism Towers. Going to need to get his static defensive back into position and needs to get some Prism Towers to the front lines. Now, even without the Genetic Mutator, snipers, you need snipers because a top-level player is going to throw infantry into your Prism Towers. Prism Towers have a strong damage per shot, but a low cycle rate. So if they spend time shooting fodder, it kind of, obviously works very, very well for the attacker. So you get some snipers in there to thin out the opponent's fodder. Surprised to not see Dynamic getting some snipers. That's kind of like the bread and butter of an allied defense like this. So the Eagles now getting value for Dynamic. And we're at the 4.5 minute mark. We've talked about that before. The longer the game goes, generally the more it's going to go in Allied's favor. And now with 2 AFCs out, over to Battle Lab Tech, and Dynamic with 12K in the bank. These conscripts are so scary. Dynamics needs the snipers. He needs the snipers. The only way that BikeRush can get himself into this game is using this fodder, and he knows that. Nice pair drop on the backside. We'll see if BikeRush sees it. And I like this from Dynamic. It's so tempting in this position to only play defense, but Dynamic doing a great job getting downfield. Nice map awareness, grabs an oil, gets a War Factory. But Dynamic doing a good job getting offensive value with the Eagles. He's just going to chip away at BikeRush. This is one of those positions where right now I think it's way in Allied's favor, but I've seen this so many times where the Rhinos just blow through, and here we go. And with no sniper in this group, this is very, very scary. But he desolates his own fodder. I don't think he should have Deso blasted there. I think that Deso blast might have just cost BikeRush that push. Because he had so much fodder in that group, right? Rockies now from Dynamic downfield. Yeah, I thought that push was, look at all these brews. All of these Grizzlies were about to pop. All of those Grizzlies were about to pop. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. Dynamic's keeping his presence in the skies here with these Eagles. He's paying the toll, but he has the money for it. Even if he loses all those Eagles each time, he's getting value. And now Dynamic out tanking. He might be able to close this one out with Grizzlies. Yeah, and so BikeRush, the one thing with BikeRush, we haven't really seen him, he doesn't really like the more of like a tech push Soviet. And a lot of top level players in Blitz don't do that. Certainly the Iron Curtain in a 6-minute game versus Allied, a lot of times you will see those things come out for most players, but it's not to say that this is unplayable. Like Mass War Factories, Rhino, that is very playable at any level, in any game mode, to be honest. But I think at this point, once, as soon as you do this equation, like, okay, we're past the 3-minute mark, the Allied players turtled in, the Eagles are out, you have to try to get over to Tech, and preferably get over to Tech before you realize that, because of course these Eagles would cancel out any Tech push that he brings. And is Dynamic trolling? Is Dynamic trolling right now? And Dynamic's still not building snipers. Like, without snipers, this bundle is scary, to be perfectly honest. Mirage is out, and Dynamic's still building Grizzlies. He has the Battle App, no Mirages, that's odd. Nighthawks making a split bottom left, which is something I've never said before. And Dynamic lets BikeRush get over to Battle Lab Tech. He now has a Kurov coming. There's no snipers in this group. Like, the Rockies are feasting on these. The Rockies are getting so much value. Mirage is on the hill. Yeah, they're going to take this out. The Rockies are good against the Brutes too. Yeah, he's going to hold. I just keep thinking, Dynamic has gotten himself so far ahead, he would have to, like, severely throw. But I keep thinking, I'm like, damn, Dynamic doing everything he can to let BikeRush back in this game, but it's just not going to matter because Dynamic has gotten so much value throughout this game with his Eagles. You see BikeRush's economy struggling. Nice Deso hit. A lot of those Grizzlies going to pop, but it's just not going to matter. Ultimately, BikeRush didn't get any offensive value, throughout this game. And Dynamic takes it home. Damn, we had some good games today, boys.
Касательные высоты.